Welcome everyone to another episode of the Big Brain MMA podcast, episode 74, UFC Vegas 73. It's a card of some sort. It is what it is. It's the cards have been getting worse and worse as May has been progressing. So I'm actually glad that there's no card next week. Who knows how bad it would have been from a viewing and betting perspective. But it's something. We'll break into it. We'll get into it. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve. You're a full-time MMA gambler down under. Where do we start? I do have some news after the break. First card of June. I will be going on the Half the Battle podcast, which is nice. Looking forward to that. And on the same week, I will also have Will Martin on my podcast, on the Big Brain podcast. So it's two guests that I listened to their podcast 5 years ago when I don't think anyone else was doing breakdowns on YouTube 5-6 years ago. It's kind of come full circle. I wasn't planning on doing it both in the same week, but two of the guys that I used to listen to 5 years ago, I'll be on one of their shows and he'll be on mine for the same card. So Kai France Albazi. So that's good. Hopefully a better card from a betting perspective. Haven't really looked into it yet. We'll do a little overview. So there was a lot of cards last week. I ended up down just the unit on Bellator, 1.5 thousand, which is literally a unit. I was going fine. I faded Kamara, the big lanky dude, with Diamante $3, plus 200. Very happy with that bet. And, little stabs on Denise Keyholder's opponent. She didn't really... she won 30-27, but it was just, it was a close enough fight. Maybe the over was a better bet there. I can't remember what else I hit. But, it all come down to Banui. I played Banui by finish. I didn't want to be greedy and play the KO. I thought he can get a sub too. He can sub anyone. Ultimately, if I just sprinkled the KO, I probably would have saved $500. And I had Banui in a stupid parlay with Bogdan Nimko on KSW. So, I lost close to $2,000 just on that last parlay piece. I also had David Gallen, and that was a voided thing, which is a little bit annoying. I think if he got out of that sub, which I think he would have broke old mate down the stretch. Because that guy hasn't Peruvian necktied anyone in Bellator, so I don't know what he's talking about. But we bounced back. I swept the KSW card. I put Bogdan Nimko in a parlay with Sebi, the guy that was a KSW champ, and they gave him a bum from Octagon. I put $1,000 in. I tracked $1,000, but I put a lot more on. I was like, why am I so scared with my money? So I didn't put a unit, but I tried to put a unit as much as I could on Bet365 after being limited. And then hit Varela as a slight dog against the boxer, the Chinny brawler in KSW, and he knocked him out in round one. One of the boys back by Ayako, whatever his name is, he had all the props, and I just said, hit the under plus money, hit this. People are cashing in Discord. There's a lot of KSW, there's a lot of foreigners, a lot of Polish people. Like I said on the podcast, we had some inside knowledge that guy was going to get knocked out, is washed. So, made $2,000 there. Made the Bellator loss. And then the card was horrible. I had Lisboa at the early line, $2.50. I thought about leaving it all. I had this feeling after tape that a lot of the money coming in has been sharp. The CLV has been good. I thought about leaving 1,500 to win 2,200. But ultimately, I was in such a good ARB opportunity. I didn't want to throw too much money away. There was still some question marks. So I hedged a little bit to win a unit. I think I put $900 on to win a unit. She dominated her. And that's pretty much it in terms of pre-bets. I had the Olberg under 1.5 on my new Bet Online account. I didn't feel comfortable giving that out at minus money. That hit. I was sweating it a little bit just because how patient Olberg is. And then I had a parlay that ended with him and the Johnny Walker under. I knew that was going to lose. I just kind of, again, was looking to turn over my Bet Online deposit. The main event would have been a better under. I played Court McGee sub, lost that, $100. I played Morono sub at $9 plus 800. That hit. I've been telling people all week, if you want to play the under, the only way this goes under is if Moreno club and subs him. So happy about that. We're up about 2,700 after that, after the Oldberg fight. And yeah, I'm angry I threw away. Someone last minute on the podcast convinced me to put fight ends in KO, which I did. As soon as I locked it in, I hated it. And then, yeah, Johnny Walker proceeded to just tilt me so badly. I blame that on being up at 2 a.m. That was probably like 6 a.m. by then. So I ended up on just under $2,000 after I lost that bit of money. But at the end of the day, look, I'm happy. That was a horrible card for betting. I made all these calls on Couch Warriors podcast. So go watch it there. I was happy to skip the card. I won't be skipping this one, though, but kind of wish I could. I'm sick as a dog. So, yeah, 2,000, just under 2,000. Literally 1,994 on UFC and 1,995 on KSW. So almost identical. So on a weekend where I lost on Bellator, happy to get out with a 2,500 profit, almost 3 units. Puts us on like 16,000 for the year. Could be better, could be worse. It's going to be the best year anyway. So I'm happy with that. Happy to be back on track. Yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to try to smash through this. Lou Betcha, LFG, Steve, let's go. Thanks for tuning in, mate. I need as many engagements as possible to get me through this one. Actually, it was meant to have Pepe on the podcast, but he had to bail. That's fine. Alrighty. Takashi Sato, Themba, Garimbo. I thought I would be fading Garimbo here. You know, he's bum. I faded him a juice against Fletcher. You know, he wants to grapple, but he's quite low level. We've seen against Fletcher, he kept losing position. His first fight in America was against in Fury against that really old black belt journeyman, and he was on top for so long and couldn't finish him. Maybe this Henderson Ferreira fight, New Warriors was in America too. Ferreira's good. He's chinny. He almost got knocked out from ground and pound against Ferreira. Got knocked out by Dave Mazzani in one of his fights where he got a triangle off his back against Lal Karam. He also got rocked there by a southpaw. So yeah, I'm happy to say he's chinny. He was club and sub by Fletcher. Sato, you know, very low volume. I think he's fought the better level of competition. I don't think, I know for a fact. You know, even in Pancrase, you know, he fought Gianco Franca, who was more in his prime back then in 2018. He got rear naked choked in rounds 4. But he had Franca badly on skates in round 2, and Franca is a very durable dude. So he's got power for days, you know. But it's still, you know, after taping, you know, I see a little bit of improvement. Garimbo, maybe in America, has got a better training camp, and he's going to go for the takedown. And, you know, Sato being so low volume, I'm going to address this comment right here from my boy, Akai Fueled Mountaineer. Sato horrendous takedown defense. Garimbo shouldn't have any resistance getting when he's fresh. Garimbo sub. I don't actually agree that he has horrendous defense, mate. If you, you know, without being too rude, if you tape in depth, he's got a bunch of stuffs in him. You know, originally he stuffed a few of Franca's takedowns. He's got decent hips. He's got a judo background. He judo through Franca, judo through Matt Vale. I didn't bother watching the Saunders fight. I've seen that plenty. He took down Bilal Muhammad a bunch of times, and he stuffed a few of his takedowns. I think Bilal was like 3 out of 9. So he took down Bilal, and he stuffed a few. So I don't think to say his takedown is horrendous. I don't think it is horrendous. I think that's false. And yeah, obviously, you know, got taken. Once you get on his hips deep, where, you know, if you get in on the single, he's really good at kind of like hipping into you, you know, throwing you, digging in the whizzer. But once you get in on his hips deep, you know, like Ghana did or Baeza, where you can lift him up and throw him, that's when he falls apart. And then he gives his back instantly. So yeah, I mean, I thought about laying the juice here on the under. That's the way I was looking at it. Pardon me. It's like, you know, Garimbo chinny. Sato can be subbed, even though Garimbo doesn't. It seems pretty harmless. Then I also see Sato's been, you know, KO'd in most of his losses too, and then that really brutal loss against Brian Battle. It's kind of like, I could probably lay the juice, but ultimately I don't want that much exposure on this juicy under, which is probably accurate. You know, under 2.5 maybe. I think this is at Apex. I'm leaning a lot of violence here, but it's just I haven't pulled the trigger. I think ultimately I'm just going to go with Sato KO, you know, for like a third of a unit. And, if he gets subbed by Karimba, so be it. I don't think I'll be that upset. I just don't want to waste the full unit on this. With Sato's low output and with Karimbo's weak-ass jiu-jitsu and finishing ability. So, yeah, I'll lean Sato. I mean, it's a pick-em. I'll rather just play him by KO. Let's address the comments. Louis Betcher, I just worry Garimbo can hold him down. He always seems to lose position. Exactly. He's not the best, mate. He's not the best at all. Herb Dean, get some zinc in you. Good for the TND and sickness too. Yeah, you don't worry about me, Herb. I've had COVID like 3 times and got better. This is I think it's just accumulation of colder times in Melbourne and me moving house and training a lot, working a lot, blah blah blah. Sato around 3 KO is plus 1,000. I wouldn't even go around 3 KO. I think he sparks him in 1 and 2. Herb Dean, I've seen a few people talk about the Apex Octagon sides of breaking that. Good job mentioning it. Yeah, I'm not a firm believer in the Apex having more finishing upside because it's a smaller cage. I think that's just a little bit correlated with other things. Low level fights, blah blah blah. I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, I do want a smaller cage if I am looking at finishes. I don't know if that makes any sense. Probably not. Victoria Alana, Natalia Silva. Yeah, what can you do here? I know a friend that max bet Silva. He's like 100% strike rate when he max bet something. Can't blame him. He was like $2, $1.20. Can't blame him at all. I mean, if I'm max betting something, I want a favorite that can only lose a really, really close split decision where there's no finishing upside. I don't think Victoria can KO Silva, catch her. I don't think she can submit her. I think the only way is a split decision. And even then, it's how she do it. Like a cage time, she's just going to get lit up. Natalia Silva has lit up much better opponents. This is such a step down in competition. So I don't want to talk too much about it. I contemplated doing the same thing. I actually have 3K on Silva, but I had 6, which is 4 units, and it just didn't feel right. Like my risk tolerance is not as great as his. But he's probably going to cash and he's probably going to win a decent amount of money from this squash match. So yeah, not for me. If anything, I will play some Natalia Silva KO. Unfortunately, I had to tape this fight as well, just to see whether I can find some value on Natalia Silva KO. And I know Victoria Leonardo well. I taped her back to front when I was looking to fade her as a favorite against Manon Fiora. Then I realized that she can be knocked out, especially by head kicks. So she's been hurt against Fiora, against Chelsea Hackett girl and contender, by everyone. Pardon me. So yeah, I just think if you're gonna play the KO, play the KO. Silva, she's got some arm bars from guard and she hit an arm bar from mount in the last fight, so I can definitely see that happening here. But I saw a decent enough submission defense game from her in Melissa Gatto's guard. I don't think she's going to tap easy. I think her strength is the jiu-jitsu. So if it ends up on the ground, she will, do what she can to survive a sub. But yeah, if anything, I'll put like a quarter unit on Silva by KO and hopefully she gets her out of there from accumulated damage. Alrighty, next one. Chase Hooper versus Nick Fiore. This is the Twitter main event of the week. Yeah, wouldn't talk too much about it. I expect a better version of Chase Hooper. A lot of people are looking to fade his move to lightweight. The dude has been cutting a lot of weight. Apparently just drinking shakes on the week of the fight so he can make weight, which is not healthy. He'll be better off moving up. That kind of diet it's not good for developing. He's only 23, so he's better off actually developing properly and eating proper food on the week of the fight, and then filling out into his body. Than just draining an unhealthy amount to featherweight. Nick Fiora, I can't say anything. He looks like the more physical guy, the stronger guy, which everyone is against Chase Hooper. Even Corrales, rest in peace, was throwing him around until he gassed. Everyone making a big deal about Fiore not getting finished by Rebecca, which literally means nothing in this fight. Zero correlation. He can still get finished by Hooper. Fiore has a Gracie black belt, and he's fought some good fighters in good jiu-jitsu matches. So I think he's well adversed. I can understand why people think he might be able to do what Felipe Corrales did for a bit, and Steven Peterson, other black belts that are more physical. Can completely see it. But I don't know. I don't know if Fiora is going to get gassed out from that kind of grapple-heavy game plan. Chase Hooper might actually have the higher upside. He's a talented kid. Even though his UFC record's very salty and he's beaten the bottom of the barrel guys, and barely beat people like Peter Barrett. Yeah, you essentially need Nick Fiora to shut him down here and not engage in any grappling. But all his tape is him wanting to grapple and finish guys on the ground. So I don't know. There's no point talking about it. Good luck to anyone that has any bets on this fight. I won't be doing it. I'll move on. All right. Either Latifi versus Rodrigo Nassimento. I'm just going to have a sip of water because I feel like I'm going to cough. Oh, the comments. GRBC, I got $1.90 in Fiora in his first UFC on short notice against a good veteran. Was not too bad. You got pick him on Fiora against Rebecca? That's crazy. Wasn't Rebecca a giant favorite? I don't understand what that comment means. But if you did, that's still a horrible bet because that was not a 50-50 fight. Lou Betcher, the great Twitter war, right? Yeah. Best when there's a war on Twitter, best to just stay off. Last war on Twitter I had was Andrade, and I'm sure they lost me a ton of credibility, even though I didn't have a passion to take. This is the card of low volume guys: Fiora, Sato, Latifi. Indeed. Speaking of Latifi, what a shit show of a fight this is. I actually kind of want to play Latifi here, but there's a ton of question marks again. If not for a couple of big moments in a Derek Lewis fight that stole him a split decision or unanimous decision, actually, in his hometown, Latifi could be 3-0 in the heavyweight division, and maybe you'll be looking at a ranking after beating Derek Lewis and Tanner Bosa back to back. Then Alexei Oleinik, who was also ranked, maybe not in that last match, but a couple losses before that. He's just the most boring guy in the world. He will do nothing. He will just run away, and then he will hit a good single on you and just stay on top. Rodrigo, he's a big plotting jiu-jitsu dude with awful athleticism and awful wrestling. I mean, you could say he showed some improvement against Tanner Bosa, but he was like crawling on his knees to lock his hands behind his back multiple times, which props to him. I've never seen him hit takedowns like that, and he hit multiple against Bosa. All these others takedowns are like clinch throws, which he struggles to hit. Will he be on the ground here against Latifi? I tend to think he will. Latifi is a really strong wrestler. How is he going to be off his back? That's the part that I don't know. Right? He's a jiu-jitsu guy, but he's also a heavyweight, and he seems very athletic. I'm inclined to believe that he's going to be a bit of a turtle. You don't see heavyweights like Rodrigo Nascimento throwing up arm bars. Surprisingly, the only time there's footage of him off his back is against Alan Bordeaux. When he tried to take Alan Bordeaux down and he pulled him on top mount. He stiff-armed him and then just kicked him off, and then he showed no urgency to get up, and then Bordeaux got on top of him again. And Nascimento dug the underhook and stood up, which is good. That's a good sign. Is he gonna hit a underhook stand up on Latifi? I mean, I don't know. Alexei didn't really try it. Bosa just a turtle. Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo has the better stand up, right? He's gonna pressure. He's got bigger reach. I'm pretty sure he would have to 80 reach, yeah. And he's gonna pressure and he's gonna look to light up Latifi. Latifi gasses. And he backs up a lot, and this is zero volume. So I get Nascimento being the favorite. It's just, if he's going to give up the takedowns here and he wants to play jiu-jitsu, I guess Latifi's the value side. But yeah, a lot of question marks. One of my biggest regrets in betting recently, and there's a lot of them, is not hammering that over 1.5. In the Latifi Oleinik fight. I think I got scared away with the old fights and Latifi having some power and how hittable old man Oleinik was, but there was never any risk of that fight ending in a KO. So maybe if the line is good here on Bet365, all the props are open other than this fight. I have a feeling it's going to be minus 200. And the only way this finishes maybe if Nascimento starts to light him up. But he's chinny too. Maybe Latifi comes back and lands a bomb. I don't know. Who knows? Dog or pass for me. All right. Orion, Koske, Gilbert, Urbina. This is the first locked-in bet that I'm probably going to keep. Not that I have any confidence about it. It's just how this card is and super low-level fight. Pardon me. What do we got here? Latifi will wrestle FM. I can see that happening. Lou Betcha. The over 2.5 there here is still a good price. What's the price, Lou? Even money. Ooh. 50% chance that someone gets finished. I mean, you can probably favor the over there because, Nas was never close to finishing Boza, even on the ground. If his jiu-jitsu is that good, he probably should have had some. He had the guy's back too. Tanner Boza's back, and he couldn't finish him. So yeah, I assume the over 1.5 is going to be juicy as all hell. Alrighty, what do we have here? Oren Koske, Gilbert, Urbina. I taped this right after the Urbina line took a lot of steam. I wish I did it earlier because that was the first line that stuck out to me. Just because I know that Koske should not be a favorite over anyone. He's definitely the worst brother. I don't know where to start. Let's start with him. His older brother has ungodly power, and I think he's the better wrestler too. This one doesn't have any power. You can say it has some power, but the bums that he's beat. Joseph Cropshot. Rounds 3. Everyone else that he finished in round 1 are bums. And then Wally Wester 2-2 before Contender Series. All the way late in round 3. So he doesn't have his brother's physical advantages. If anything, he might have a bit of better cardio because he keeps going late. And his brother, 2 times he went late, he lost in the UFC. But I still actually hope deep down that his brother gets a round 1 KO on his next one and doesn't get cut. Because I like guys that just have insane amount of power and athleticism. It's fun to watch. But yeah, this guy, Orion, is tough, and that's it. He's tough and athletic, I guess. And that's all. And, you see in this Contender Series fight, I think he was 2-0 down against Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon was 9-0 at the time. Matt Dixon was wrestling him. And, he came back and ground and pounded, crucifixed him with, 20 seconds to go, which was a good comeback. And then, that was all I needed to see when I was fighting him against Phil Rowe as a decent-sized dog, Couldn't believe that. I was a little bit scared he might knock out Rowe. Wasn't even close. He struggled to take Rowe down as well. And then, Blood Diamond struggled to take Blood Diamond down. So he's got a wrestling background, but he's not good at that either. He's just a lot of cage push. No finishing upside. Blood Diamond was got him out of there. Blood Diamond's not really knocking out people on the regional scene in Australia. Bums. Dim Gillies, search him up. My boy Scrap will know him. Had a really close split decision against him, and he's almost knocking out Orion Koske in the second round. And then credit to Koske, came back and beat him in the third. But yeah, just a lot to be desired. And yeah, Urbina, right? This guy's not much better, but I still think he's slightly better. Urbina also a low level competition. He's beat a 5-0 dude on LFA, and then lost the decision to Sean Brady. At welterweight, which is his natural weight class. I think he only moved up to middleweight just so he can be on Ultimate Fighter. That's impressive. I found a little footage of that fight, and it's kind of like, Urbina, he's kind of just backing up. He's getting lit up by Brady. He's getting taken down easy, and it's like, oh, maybe Koske can do the same thing. But I was like, it's a different type of level. Angel Trevino is probably the best fighter that he's beat in his career. Right, he's a dude that trains at Alpha Male, who's 10-4 now. He's not bad. He's 29. He's in his prime. He's not fighting the who's who. But he lost to Austin Wonderford and Gilbert Urbina on Contender Series. That's Austin fought him Contender when he got passed up for UFC. Yeah, I mean he's a good back taker. His wrestling's okay. I guess he took Brian Battle down, but everyone thinks Brian Battle was a bum. Hence why they were fading with Gabe Green. Got knocked out by Treyshawn Go. A little bit of red flag. I guess Gore does crack. But yeah, I just feel like, going back to welterweight, 27 years of age, a bit of a layoff. You expect he's going to be improving in 2 years off. He's already a more put together fighter, in my opinion, even though he's not that great. He's got more kicks. He's got a variety of strikes. He's got better jiu-jitsu for sure. He was losing a lot of position in the Trevino fight, and I just thought, this is such a low-level fight. I don't want any of my money on this. And then the more the days went on, I just said, you know what? Half a unit at slight dog money on Urbina. Just because Kosuke is part here, is just to cage hold him. If he holds him against the cage a bit, maybe Urbina can take his back. Maybe he can reverse him. On the outside, he's bigger, he's longer. Maybe he can kick him, throw some strikes. Yeah, I have a half unit on Urbina. It's even got steamed even more now, close towards Pick'em. I think it's going to keep going. I think Pick'em's accurate, if not Urbina slight favorite. But yeah, really bad guys, both of them. I'm just, not the most confident pick, but I mean, I have to fade Kosuke as a slight favorite. That was a bit of a ramble on. GRB, 2 years, yikes. I don't mind the layoff, mate. I don't mind the layoff. As long as it's not because of injury, as long as it's because of improvement. He's young, maybe some big improvements, yes. I mean, Kosuke looks like he's getting worse and worse. His UFC performances are really bad. Hopefully this is not a shit fighter with a shit fighter. We'll see. Carolina, Vanessa Demopolis. Don't want to talk about this fight. Horrible. I taped all the fights apart from Vanessa's last one. I know her wrestling looked improved there. I remember she had some struggles in round 3. I don't see how I'm going to get a lean. I definitely won't be playing Carolina as a favorite. Just 2 fights ago, she was submitted by Jessica Panay. It's just a horrible look. I mean, she's putting stamps on fights with grappling a lot. She submitted Felice Herring. And, she grappled Juarez. But if she grapples here, she might give Vanessa the only path to victory, which is an armbar from guard. So, pass 5. I'm not interested. Dog or pass, actually. Oh, goddamn. It's one of those. Alrighty, Makashate Vaslav Borshev. This one, Lou Betcher, because it had big health problems recently too. I heard about that. Maybe he shouldn't have done what he done, but like I said, he seems to be, his body's breaking down. I think him and his brother just train like animals. Mahashate versus Borshev. I see a lot of people liking Borshev because this is going to be a striking fight where Makashate is not going to take him down. But the way I see it, that suits Makashate as well. No one's going to take him down either, and he's a big guy. It just feels like a volatile striking fight where sure, Slava is going to be the more technical fighter, the more the fluid striker, but Makashate can crack, man. And I just keep looking at this Slava line, and there's no way I can hit it. I don't think there's any value there. Maybe he comes out and sparks him. Maybe he shows us what a good striker he is. But I think Mahashate is young. I think he could be a problem. The only reason I can't get a lead on this fight is mostly because of Mahashate. 3 fights now in Contender and UFC, and I'm still kind of having, what is this guy's game? Occasional flying knee, seems to have power, big athletic, a little bit low volume. But it's a dog or pass for me. The under is quite juiced. Very juiced. I don't even have the under on this fight. It's great. I just said the fight doesn't go. It's not even minus 200, so the under 2.5 will probably be better. Maybe it's not as juiced, but I don't know. Again, I feel like Mahashate is pretty durable. And Slava, people say Slava is very durable. I have this sneaking suspicion that he's not. I've seen him jump at the ground after getting tagged by Kennedy St. Louis. So, let's move on. Alrighty, this is the first bet that I locked in on Sunday, the day after not the day after, like an hour after the card last week. I was up at 2 a.m. and finished the whole card at 8. And you don't even need to drink a coffee if you're me. If you're waking up at 2 a.m., the adrenals are working so hard because you got money on bets. That was keeping me up. And then I had a coffee, and then it just hit me even more. So I taped this fight because I saw the line and I kind of messed it up. I thought this card was in 2 weeks, but it wasn't. The break is going to be after this card. So I taped it and I just saw that $1.72 on Diego Ferreira, and I just thought, And this is a bit of a step. This is a bit of a disrespect for Diego Ferreira, who's been fighting ranked opponents his entire career, and now he's only a slight favorite to Michael Johnson, who, he's in a little bit of a resurgence against not the best fighters, and they think this is going to be a close fight. So I locked in 2 units. I told the people on Discord to do it. There's going to be a ton of line movement. Hasn't moved much, and then straight away I thought to myself, okay, maybe I'm rushing this. Diego Ferreira, 38 years of age. This is. I know myself, from all my experience, maybe I shouldn't be this confident. Anyone can get knocked out. And I taped it, and I taped it in quite detail. You have to go back. I don't like going too far back sometimes on fights, but you have to in this case because the last 3 of his opponents, everyone is grappling Diego Ferreira, and he's making them uncomfortable. He's making Beneil Dariush. Obviously, Dariush hurt him to the body in the first, but for the rest of the fight, he made Dariush uncomfortable. So Dariush grappled him. He made Gillespie uncomfortable. He made Gamrot uncomfortable. He's making these people uncomfortable on the feet, and they because he's got decent power and he's got relentless pressure, and they have to, they have to take him down and then when they take him down, he's scrambling. But I don't think that's going to happen with Johnson, even though I've seen Johnson take Patrick down, and I shot for a takedown on old mate. I forgot his name, the Aussie Malaki. So I went back to the Carl Nelson fights, which is the fights that he got hurt in, and he gets cracked, and he just keeps coming and eventually breaks Nelson down. Rustem was taking him down, and he out-scrambled him. The Mairbek Taisimov fight, I thought maybe he grappled here, but for 3 rounds, he outstruck Taisimov at elevation to a decision. I remember I lost money there fading him. Taisimov dropped him like 2-3 times, behind the ear. I know Parky, my boy Parky's listening. When you get dropped behind the ear, that's the meme KO shot, mate. There's no recovering from that. And Diego Ferreira just dropped down to 1 knee, got straight back up, kept pressuring, and then he just started lighting up Taisimov to rounds 2 and 3. So there was someone on Twitter that told me it's going to be a problem if Ferreira can't get a takedown. I don't think he can at all. I don't think it will be a problem. The guy outstruck Taisimov for 3 rounds. It was a bit more in his prime, I get it. But yeah, he's capable of it. And then Anthony Pettis was like the first fight where he actually consistently looked for takedowns and wanted to grapple, and it was just a mixture of chain wrestling and jumping on his back, pushing up the cage, and just ran through him. That's what got him the ranking. Back in 2020, Anthony Pettis was a little bit less washed. He still beat Cerrone, he still beat Morono, so he had some fight in him. So not the most impressive fight, but pretty impressive how he ran through him. He does get wobbled. Like I said, got wobbled in the first against Nelson, got wobbled against Taisimov, Dariush to the body, and he has been knocked out by Dustin Poirier in round 1 as well, another southpaw, and he got dropped there multiple times. It wasn't just like an easy KO. He got up there again and kept pressuring, engaged in some grappling. But what it comes down to, I think he's coming off that layoff. I think Michael Johnson will have the faster hands and the better footwork. He does against a lot of people. I wouldn't be playing him a slight dog money against someone like Ferreira. Like that's a bit disrespectful. I feel like he was a bigger underdog to Mark Diakese. He was a plus 260 underdog against Mark Diakese. And now you want to play him as even worse. And that was a close fight, He might have been a 29-28 unanimous, but that was a close fight because Mark Diakese, he has no process. If he can't get the calf kick going and he can't wrestle you, which you couldn't, Michael Johnson has a good sprawl. He fell apart and he was doing like rolling thunders and finishing rounds on bottom when he's clearly losing a striking battle. So even that was a close fight. And he had a 3-round striking fight against Jamie Malaki. He still lost the split. Alan Patrick is a nobody. So even if he has a 3-round striking fight here with Diego Ferreira, I feel like Ferreira's pressure, it might get him clipped, but it's also going to put Michael Johnson on the back foot. It's going to gas him out. Guida 30-27 him due to the pressure. Kept cracking him with overhands. I feel like Michael Johnson's path is a close striking split. Maybe drop Ferreira in the first, maybe even second and third. Maybe KO him in round 1 if Ferreira is truly washed. That KO against Gamrot, he came into the fight with an injured rib already, so that was an existing injury. He had a fight against Close and he pulled out due to injury again, so who knows, maybe his body's breaking down on him. But yeah, if he's anything close, maybe let's say 80%, this is his fight to win. Michael Johnson has just come back and, Clay Guida, Alan Patrick, Jamie Malaki, and Mark Diakese, the bottom of the barrel guys. If anything, I have a unit on Ferreira at that $1.72 line. Finally today, finally today the line has moved in the direction I thought it would. I told the people in the Discord, don't be scared about this slight money on Michael Johnson. I think later in the week when the sharp people tape it, more money will come in on Ferreira. And finally it has. It's a Thursday, so it took a while. But yeah, I mean, I'll only have a unit on Ferreira. Again, it does feel like a little bit of an old man fight, but it's just, and there's going to be some adversity maybe for Ferreira early, if he does fight with his usual pressure style. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep that unit anyway. I mean, this is a step down. If anything, I'll sprinkle a little Michael Johnson round one. I've seen it in my dreams. Like I said, gets hurt in the first round a lot. If he's completely washed, maybe this is the fight where Michael Johnson comes out and sparks him again. Round one KO, 750, a little bit average. But yeah, I'll definitely play that. I wish I played the under at better line. It was a pick-up on Bet Online. My boy Evan was advocating for it. Yeah, I feel like, if Michael Johnson gets cracked, and he's been cracked by Alan Patrick, he got wobbled by Alan Patrick, he got wobbled by Clay Guida, he got wobbled by Jamie Malarkey, he ate a big uppercut from Mark D. Casey in round one if you rewatch it and backed off. If he gets cracked by Diego Ferreira, I think he's going to end up on the ground, and I think he's going to get ground and pounded out or submitted. I don't mind a little stab on Ferreira by KO. It's an astronomical price as opposed to the sub. I think the only way Ferreira gets a sub is if Michael Johnson gives it back, which is possible. Or if Johnson gets cracked and he goes for takedowns, and then Ferreira scrambles into a heel hook or something. But I think Ferreira's live to crack him and then ground and pound finish him. He doesn't discriminate. He ground and pounded Carl Nelson. He ground and pounded Jared Gordon. He's not like a submission dude that just hunts for submissions. He will throw GMP. So yeah, I would rather do a little bit of that. Sprinkle on Diego Ferreira KO, a little bit of money line, and just let Michael Johnson round one KO just because it came in my dreams. GRBK, Diego with the 1 year layoff. I mentioned that. Frank Vituli, welcome, mate. CDFC 38 and 1.5 years off. Johnson's looked better lately. I mean, again, mate, it's subjective. He's looked better because he's fighting Alan Patrick, and he still got wobbled in that fight in round one. Got wobbled bad. And I mean, yeah, he barely lost to Jamie Malarkey, but he had a 3-round striking fight. Keep in mind, he lost to Stevie Ray, and he had a 3-round striking fight up until when he got taken down in the third. But the commentators were going crazy how he was lighting up Stevie Ray in rounds 1 and 2. And it was still close enough for one of the judges. His power is a little bit overrated, and he doesn't put stamps on fights. He's just a calf kicker and a fast 1-2 jab to the body. Of course, he's going to win against Mark Diakasey, who again is an absolute moron. But Diego Ferreira is going to pressure him. So who's he looking better against? He's looking better against Alan Patrick, Mark Diakasey, and Jamie Malarkey. So it's all within reason, man. It's all within reason. But yeah, let's move on. Fiola, Jacqueline Buckley. Interesting fight. Buckley moving down to welterweight. I understand why he's the favorite. He's going to have the footwork, the speed, the volume. It's going to be a bit like the Curtis fight. Andre Fiallo, he's very flat-footed, high guard, not much defense. Cardio dies as well. Some chin issues too, but he does have the more natural raw one-punch power in his hands. He hurt Solico a bit. He hurt Jack Matthews in the end of round one, but the problem is there. He's been hurt himself as well, knocked out. Cameron Van Camp hurt him as well before he knocked him out. So did Miguel Baeza. This is just a very volatile fight. I think what's his name? Buckley's going to be lighting him up. He's going to be moving. He's going to be kicking him, head kicking him, calf kicking him. He might mix in takedowns. He's going to be winning until he gets clipped, or until he wins a decision or clips Fiala. The under 1.5 or the over 1.5 took some steam now. It was on Pick'em before, so people obviously think this is going to go over. Makes sense. When you retape it, it's like Buckley's a bit chinny, but it's like he's still taking shots from some people. And Fiala, he's so low volume. He kind of needs Buckley to be reckless and get caught, which he can. He's a really good counter striker, Fiala. But he said he was going to be more patient, and it's like, who knows? I had to pick him as accurate. It's 50-50 whether we'll go over or under. you don't really know in these striking fights, As for the under 2.5, a lot of these guys have gone under 2.5. The Jake Matthews, the Salikov, the Camp, the Baeza fight, a bunch of regionals for Fiola, and even Buckley. He's been knocked out all in under 2.5 rounds, and even when the fight goes late, like Arroyo fight, or Duraev or Chris Curtis, he's still getting knocked out or getting his own knockout in under 2.5. Even the Kevin Holland. So I do think it's Chinny. I've always been talking about Chinny. He's Chinny. I always mentioned how I played the Chirico via KO over him. I think it's just a volatile fight. I can't lay this price on Buckley. Even live betting, I feel like it could be 2 rounds up and something could happen. I'll look at some, unders. What's the under now? Yeah, the under 2.5, like I mentioned, is minus 200. I think surely at that point, someone knocks someone out. It's just a little bit juicy. What's minus 200? Can someone please tell me in percentages what minus 200 is? Is that like 70%? But there could still be value on that. But yeah, volatile fight. It's a dog or pass for me. Maybe play some Fiola KO 1 and 2, round 1, like I did against Baeza. I think Baeza is a bit more chinny than Buckley. All right, what do we have? Giallo, welcome Giallo. That KO price is astronomical. What are we talking about? We're talking about Ferreira. We're talking about the Buckley fight. Buckley second round KO. Could happen. Buckley round 3 sub is plus 9,000. Got to throw at least 28 units on that. You're the man, Lou. You're the man. George Nero, thanks for tuning in, mate. Let's get this money, Steve. That's it. Let's get this money on this horrible, horrible card. You know what? As I'm looking at these props for the first time, I will have some plays. More plays than I thought I would. I just have to figure it out, in the next day or two. But after this, I'm going to focus on some Octagon. I've got some boys, the same boys that love to talk about KSW in the Discord, the Big Brain Discord. They're talking about Octagon. I'm excited to look into it with odds for the first time. All right, Emily Dakota, Lupita Godinez. This is a pass fight for me, dog or pass. Lupita's not trusted as a favorite, especially when she comes in on short notice, upper catch weight. That's every time she's kind of had split decisions and losses, against Angela Hill, against Carolina, who's a really bad fighter. She has cardio issues. She's got some decent pop on her punches, but she has, volume and technical striking issues. Dakota, she's got her own faults. She's kind of she's very technical. She's a lot more technical striker here. Nice calf kicks, good combinations. But she can be a little bit too technical for her own good and a little bit of a slow starter. It's cost her against Angela Hill, and she never got started, and she just got busted up in the clinch, and she just kind of flaked on herself. But she lost the first round against Juliana Lima and Invicta. She can be taken down. Murata took her down a bunch of times. She's got an active guard. She'll mix her own takedowns in. She's a nice little, overall technical striker. Just a little bit, fights too close sometimes unless she gets a knockout. I think she'll be at a little bit of a physical disadvantage against Lupita. Lupi. I mean, a lot of girls are. Lupi's a bit of a tank. Lupi has good doubles and, low leg attacks with her wrestling. But when she clinches up, it's when she struggles, in body locks. And I feel like Emily can defend a lot of, the body locks. If she shoots on her sloppily, especially gassed, Emily will do enough to like sprawl because she has good distance management. So she'll see it coming. So it's a dog or pass for me. My boy Subliminal MMA, he got a way better line on Dakota. I don't hate it. It's a dog or pass. This could be a good live bet. Like I said, Dakota starts slow. When Lupita is nice and explosive and fresh early, I could see her getting some high amplitude takedowns on a much smaller Dakota, maybe cracking her with some shots. And then we'll see, if that cardio comes in again, the short notice cardio at catch weight from Lupita, see her kind of giving up rounds and minutes like she did against Angela Hill as well. Yeah, it's a dog or pass for me. It's one of those fights. And I mean, I mentioned that, Dakota is at a bit of a technical, a physicality advantage, doesn't have much power. She's a little bit too technical, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Godina has just fought another chick that's very, zero power, zero athleticism, just about to retire. She hasn't already, Cynthia Cavilla. and she had an extremely close striking fight with her over 3 rounds. And even Kavia took her down in round 1. And I assume she didn't want to wrestle Cynthia there because Cynthia has a good jiu-jitsu game. Who knows, man? Who knows? That fight alone is all you need to know about not being able to play Lupita at favorite odds. I definitely think Emily Dakota can jab her up and calf kick her, etc., etc. But it's one of those fights. I don't have any strong conviction other than dog or pass, maybe live bet. Let's move on. Oh, nice. Up to the main event already. I'm glad that didn't take too long. This one, Edmund Shabazian. All right. This fight, didn't think I would like anything, and it's kind of. I ended up locking in some Shabazian at $3.20, plus 220. This just the line seemed off. I had faint memories, recollection of that Hermanson fight, which was another, horrible matchup for Edmund, and that fight could have really been 29-28 for Edmund. He ended up round 2 on top of Hermanson, and he was ground and pounding him. That could have easily swayed the judges. I feel like because he was at the Apex, the judges are really on point at the Apex. I think they remembered that Hermanson had more top time against Edmund, so that was very close, And then I looked into his career properly. I didn't want to because I watched the Derek Brunson fight so many times. I looked at his career properly, and the guy actually has good wrestling and good jiu-jitsu, right? He's wrestled Darren Stewart back in the day, gassed badly. Good takedown defense, good sprawl against Charles Bird initially, knocked him out with elbows. Travis Brown elbows. Stopped a couple Derek Brunson takedowns early and had a few get-ups. And even in rounds 2, halfway through rounds 2, he came out swinging and was throwing hard at Derek Brunson. So he didn't fall apart until late in rounds 2 when Brunson took him down and started ground and pounding him and almost knocked him out. And that's, Brunson just had a game plan where he just kept coming, didn't give him any pressure, which is kind of what Hernandez will do. And, in the Hermanson fight, I already mentioned he lit up Hermanson. Nasruddin Imavov, he kind of messed up by going for guillotines there. He loves the guillotine. And, Dalcha, he took a year off. He went to a better gym, Extreme Couture, probably the best gym he could go to, with a few others. Came out patient against Dalcha. I was a little bit underwhelmed with that performance. He was obviously pacing himself. Still looked like his cardio maybe like he was a little bit gassed from not doing much. Ultimately, he knocked out Dalcha. He came back on a win. He ended his streak. He's only 25 years of age. Like I said, this kid was really good everywhere. He already has great boxing, distance management, power, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. It's only the cardio. This guy falls apart in the cardio, but he's good everywhere. And I don't think he can improve that, unfortunately. It just seems to be like one of those things like Zabit. But yeah, he's good everywhere. Like this current price, even now that it's moved, I don't think Hernandez is going to cover this price in the first round. Like if you look at his career, he's very hittable. He's got a decent chin. He trusts his chin. He comes into the pocket. He loves to brawl. Jin Yong Park, hurt him multiple times. Park and crack. It's fair enough. Marcus Perez hurt him to the body. Kevin Holland hurt him to the body. Finished him in 40 seconds. Rodolfo Vieira was having his way with him. Throwing him around. He's not a very physical guy. I don't think his wrestling is amazing. His control is definitely not amazing. That's why he's, like a Marab type of guy that just keeps mat returning people because everyone can stand up early. Josh French stood up. Marc-Andre Barriol broke his rib in the first round and he was still getting up off his feet in rounds 2 and 3. So yeah, he just kind of he has to keep taking you down. He's very submission over position. He loves the guillotine, power guillotine, which I love the power guillotine too. It's the first thing I hit in a competition. And when you submit Rodolfo Vieira, how can you not keep spamming that move on everyone else? But yeah, just early on, I don't think he's going to cover this line. I think even if he takes Edmund down, what Anthony Hernandez does with the pressure is good. He's doing what Brunson does rather than Hermanson. If he does what Hermanson does and backs up, he's going to give Edmund the chance to light him up on the distance. But because he's going to pressure, it's going to be good. He's going to close distance ASAP, and he wants to do that, right? And let's say he's able to take Edmund down. I think Edmund's going to pop up. That's a no-brainer. We've seen him pop up many times against better wrestlers and better jiu-jitsu guys, like Brunson, et cetera. And then, he's going to have a couple more chances to light up Hernandez on the feet. And, Hernandez is going to keep coming forward. He always does. He's reckless. He does get hit, but it's the best way to break Shabazian. You can't stay out in space against Shabazian because he's going to get lit up. So, I have that half unit on Shabazian, and I was going to be brave and just let it ride and then look to live bet out. But it's like if he hits the first takedown, who knows? Who knows? But it's then again, I said if he does hit the first takedown, he will get up and he will do his thing. There's obviously a chance that Shabazian runs through him in the first round. He does have power. I don't think he hits as hard. I think his round 1 KOs were a little bit, opportunistic. That head kick over Tavares, I didn't see it coming. So yeah, ultimately, I just think the line is crazy. This is like a numbers play. I don't think Hernandez is that much better than Shabazian. I think it all comes down to the cardio. He might return Shabazian, but we've seen Josh Friend have really good success against Hernandez in rounds 2. Actually reversed them and stayed on top. One of the first times we've seen Hernandez on bottom, other than the Rodolfo fight. And Shabazian can do the same. He can take him down. He reversed the Manson. He can stay on top of him. Maybe he can win round 1 and have a really close round 2. Or Hernandez breaks him down later on. So yeah, and the level of competition is really low. Rodolfo Vieira, yeah, I guess it's okay, but he gassed. Josh Friend on short notice, and Marc-Andre Barriol, he's overrated. He's not that great. He was on a 4-fight losing streak at one point. Marc-Andre Barriol is he is what he is. He also breaks people down with his cardio, but he's not the best fighter. But this is a bit of a step up for Hernandez. Yeah. What I like is I like a little bit of a stab on Shabazian for the crazy line. Again, I'm rambling on too much. Pardon me. Just because my brain scrambled. I like a little bit of Shabazian. If I'm going to play Hernandez, I'll play him live. But the bookies are pretty clever these days. I feel like even if he loses round 1, we could see Hernandez at a pretty juiced line. The under is quite juiced. It doesn't go as minus 200. The under is a little bit better. But it's quite juiced. If you look at Hernandez's career, and I was talking to the boys in my Discord, Marc-Andre Barriol with a broken rib in round 1 almost went over. And that's because Hernandez loves hunting for subs, and there's no ground and pound. And if he keeps hunting for subs, I've seen some good submission defense from Shabazian. He got out of some deep guillotines against Imavov, and eventually Imavov had to ground and pound him. Even Jack Hermansson with his ground and pound couldn't finish him. And Hermansson known for amazing ground and pound. So yeah, I could see potentially Hernandez just being too focused on looking for that guillotine. Matt returning him over and over again, and it's like a juiced under that goes over in a frustrating way. But then again, maybe I'm overthinking it. If Hernandez comes out there super reckless and just gets on Edmund's legs ASAP, Edmund's going to gas nice and quick, or he's going to knock out Hernandez, or he's going to force Edmund to throw. And he's going to gas him out quickly. If they stare at each other, if Hernandez gives him a bit of respect because he knows Edmund has power, then there might be a little bit of value in Edmund because he's not going to gas out as quickly, and Hernandez might not get a sub until maybe late in rounds 3, or maybe he goes to decision. But yeah, it's one of those. What I like is Edmund, slight dog money. I look to jump out just because the line is crazy. Hernandez sub 2 and 3. If you see a lot of the good guys that is broken, Park, Vieira, it's in round 2, or even round 3. Barriol didn't even break Friend, so maybe rounds 2, round 3 sub. KO. I mean, he doesn't throw much ground and pound, although he does have some punch power. So sub 2 and 3, a little bit Edmund early, and the unders, man. The unders. Maybe I hit it anyway. Maybe I just put a unit on, doesn't go. I mean, what are the chances? Someone can help me out. What are the chances that this goes to a decision? If Fluffy comes out super aggressive. Also, no one told me what minus 200 is. Thanks. Anyway, let's move on. I rambled on, but that's because I don't have many plays in the fights that I do have plays on. I thought I might as well talk a bit more about. Mackenzie Dern, Angela Hill. What a shit show of a main event. I can't be playing Mackenzie Dern at minus 200 just because she's erratic. She's not the best wrestling, as everyone will mention 100,000 times. It's all the fights are volatile. Sometimes I've been on her side against Tisha Torres, for example. I thought Torres was going to give her leg when she backs up and side kicks her, and Dern was a bit of an underdog there. And I got a bit lucky there. And Dern was losing all around one and landed one big shot and hurt her there. So she's a spastic that throws very hard and looping punches, and she can crack, and she'll pull guard and do whatever she can to take fights to the ground. And she won a decision against Torres, and she could have won a decision against Zhao Yan. It's a bit weird that no one gave her a 10-8 in a round where she had like over 4 minutes of domination, ground and pound, and submission attempts. It's just stupid judges not being consistent. That should have been a draw at worst case. And I think Zhao Yan is a bit better. She puts more stamps on the fights with her. She's got a snappy jab, big punches. Angela is always kind of like keeps it close on the feet, even though she's a solid striker. She kind of needs the clinch. She clinches up and does all the damage in the clinch. She's quite physical, has good elbows. She's done that even against Jandiroba and grapplers like Loopy. She's taken them down. She's muscled them up in the clinch. She can do the same to Mackenzie Dern because Mackenzie Dern is quite weak. She's quite flimsy, not as athletic, not as strong. But then, when she does that with Mackenzie Dern's going to be looking at that overhook and pulling guard and jumping down to heel hooks, which is what Werner did against Angela Hill. And Angela Hill showed very good submission defense in that fight. I played Werner reluctantly as a slight favorite. I thought if she gasses, Angela might run away with it. And it was still a 30-27. Angela Hill didn't get submitted, but she still lost 30-27. So maybe Mackenzie Dern can do the same thing here. It's kind of hard to trust Angie, even though it's clear dog or pass. I don't trust either of these girls. If I was going to play anything, I'll play the over. I think the over correlates with Hill winning. I don't think Angela's going to be the one to knock out Dern. Dern has insane durability. And the over is, oh man. The over 4.5 is it's so bad. It's such a bad number. I'd rather play the under at that point, and I hope for a submission. I hope for Mackenzie Dern sub. But yeah, Mackenzie can win a decision here, but all the value is on Angela Hill. So it's just one of those volatile fights. It could be one of those good live bet fights. It could be a good live bet fight where, see how Dern looks. If she gets a 10-8 in the first and she's completely spent, Hill can, then you live bet Hill. But yeah, just not interested. Not interested in this fight. It's a shame that the overs are so juiced. Cool. Let's go over the card. I'll give you, if I can give you my best bets. Let's address the comments first. Fluffy's pressure will give him trouble. Yep, you would think so. Kurt Kwiatkowski, how are you, sir? I'm tempted to spam the dogs on this card. Who are the dogs? You can't go wrong. I feel like there's going to be a lot to hit. Herb Dean, my boy, coming through. Minus 200 is 66.6%. My favorite number. I can't remember what I asked for. So 66%. I think that was the Fiola under 2.5. I don't know. Yeah, that's either accurate. Maybe you can give it 70%. Maybe you can assume that Buckley will be a little bit drained at welterweight and the chin's a bit more compromised. And he's also going to hit like a truck. He's been knocking out middleweights. Maybe he can knock out Fiola. I don't know, the under 2.5. Maybe I give it 70%. That's minimum value. Could be forcing it. We'll see. You make your own decision. All right, let's go over the whole card quickly. Takashi Sato, Themba Grimbo, Aline Sato by KO. Might play it. Natalia Silva, Aline her by KO too. Might play it. We'll see. Chase Super, Fiora, pass fight. Latifi, Nassimento, dog or pass. Maybe a good live bet fight. We'll see what the over 1.5 is. Urbina, Kosuke, I got to play on Urbina at slight minus money, plus money. Money's still coming on him. Not the most confident play. I'm just kind of, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm just deciding to fade Kosuke. He doesn't really do much other than cage push. Female fight pass. Mahashate is dog or pass. Volatile striking fight. He can crack. Michael Johnson, Ferreira. I got a unit on Ferreira at the best line. The best line that I had in Australia, $1.72. I think this is a levels fight, even though there might be some struggle early. And I'll look to play Michael Johnson round 1. And maybe ends in KO 2. We'll see what ends in KO 2 is. Let me get that out of the way. Like and subscribe. All right. Fiola Buckley, volatile fight. I'll look at this under 2.5. Maybe fight ends in KO. Or maybe Fiola round 1. We'll see. Dakota, Godinez, dog or pass. Maybe look to live bet Dakota. I have a little bit of Shabazian. I haven't even given it out to anyone. Not even. I told it in the Discord, but I didn't put it in the final bets. It's just I'm trying to think if I'm going to lose my half a unit by going on Edmund here. But yeah, I just don't think Fluffy covers that line early. I think Edmund's going to have some success. He's at Extreme Couture for more than a year now. He's improving. We'll see. And yeah, Mackenzie Dern, Angela Hill, horrible fight pass. All right, in terms of the best bets, I mean, I got Ferreira. I've got Urbina. That's pretty chopped liver. That's pretty horrendous. Sato, I might lock in. Silva, I might lock in. Trash. I'm liking the under in Edmund fight. Doesn't go minus 200. I'm liking the Fiola under 2.5 potentially. Yeah, I mean, my two best bets have to be Diego Ferreira and Gilbert Urbina. It's trash, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? That's the slate that we have this week. So yeah, keep a lookout. I'm going to tackle some regionals. Jump in the Discord if you want to. There's it's just getting more and more active. I'm loving it. More and more people are talking about KSW, all the regional shows. I've got local Polishmen that are neighbors to the KSW fighters giving me inside info. I love it. That's what the Discord's all about. It's not even about me. I hope people don't blindly tail me. I hope they just use that information to make their own bets. But yeah, like and subscribe. I've got a lot more listeners than I do subscribers. If you listen every week, it's a no-brainer. You're just stitching me up. Other than that, what else is there to say? I'm sure I'll have more bets by the end of the week. Thank you for listening. Apologies for rambling on. The brain's a little bit cooked, a little bit sick. But yeah, good luck with your bets and please leave a comment. Have a good one.